Unresolved problem segment tonight. Imagine having your son or daughter killed in Iraq or Afghanistan and then having to face this at their funeral.
God is punishing this nation, and his weapon of choice is sending these children home dead from the battle.
Every time one goes off in Iraq, we rejoice. It's the vengeance of God that you're commanded to rejoice over.
A nutty group is going around the USA disrupting military funerals and looking for publicity, which is why I'm not even going to name this despicable outfit. Wisely, the state of Kentucky passed a law that makes it illegal to interfere with a funeral. But guess who's challenging that law? Our friends, the ACLU, with this now former director of this New York Civil Liberties Union, Norman Siegel. Now listen, you got to personalize this. You can't be theoretical about this. You lose a son or a daughter, all right, overseas, they get shipped back to the USA, you want to bury them with dignity, okay? You got these nuts, these heinous, disgusting individuals showing up at your funeral, in your face, saying it's good your son or daughter was killed because God is punishing America. All Kentucky says is if these nuts want to demonstrate, they have to stay 300 feet, 100 yards, away from the actual wake or funeral. That sounds very reasonable to me.
I'm surprised. It's not very reasonable. 300 feet is more than a city block. It's putting people out of eyesight and earshot. I think that this goes to the heart of what America is about, the right to protest. It also means that you can go and demonstrate in support of the person who died. This law makes no distinction between pro or con. And this group, look, I think it's unseemly. I wouldn't recommend it. But the First Amendment, we can't carve out exceptions. If the right to lifers want to picket in front of an abortion clinic, I don't want to put them 300 yards or 300 feet away. If there are people who are demonstrating, whether I agree or disagree with them, the neutral principle says you don't carve out exceptions to the First Amendment, which says Congress and state legislatures cannot create laws that violate free speech.
All right, here's why you're wrong. I love to say that. This is one of my favorite words. Here's
the First Amendment says...
Here's why Mr. Siegel is wrong.
Okay.
This is disturbing the peace, all right? This is a provocative action that could lead to violence. You're not allowed to demonstrate within a certain area of the White House. You have to go across the street to Lafayette Park. You're not allowed to disrupt a church service by screaming through the windows. There are a lot of things you're not allowed to do because it is disruptive and it's disturbing the peace. This certainly is doing that.
No. This says that if I stood there alone with a sign or handed out a piece of paper that's not disruptive of the service, that's a crime. We can't allow that. Your example of across the street from the White House, people can still see it. We would object if they put people
but this is
a block and a half away. Well, I know that's why. I know, but we're talking about the First Amendment.
No. It's a narrowly defined thing. You can't disrupt a funeral.
They're not disrupting the funeral.
Sure they are.
No,
of course they
if
are.
under your hypothetical, they could be arrested for disorderly conduct, breach of the peace. This is a crime.
No, they couldn't.
Sure, it's a separate
But you
provision.
ACLU, you'd be right in there saying they didn't disrupt anything. They were just yelling, God hates what you see it on the sign there when you're trying to bury your son or daughter. Come on.
In New York, they don't allow amplified sound within a certain amount of feet to a school, a church,
and they have a right to do that.
Right. But if you don't have sound, you're not disrupting what's going on in the funeral. If you're outside, my example of just handing out literature or standing with a sign silently supporting the soldiers in Iraq, it would be a crime.
I can't believe you can't see this because it's so clear. You're trying to bury your son or daughter,
right?
All right, in a public cemetery, because cemeteries aren't private. Anybody can go into a cemetery and visit any grave, okay? And there you have...
Cemeteries are usually private property.
No, they're not.
They're not public.
You can go in the city cemeteries of any place. You can go in and visit any grave you want, and you know it. You have a guy with a sign. He doesn't say anything, and he's standing right next to the grave, and you say it's acceptable. It isn't. I'll give you the last word real quick.
Well, just because you say it's not acceptable doesn't mean it's right. What America's about, it's the land of the free. In that zone, you have a right to demonstrate, and if you start allowing exceptions...
Right in your face.
Well, your zone, it's the non-spin zone.
All right, you're wrong again, but we love you for coming in and debating it.
Thank you.